Hello everybody and welcome to Let's Play Guild Wars 2 once again. Episode 2, yay! I actually almost finished filming a version of Episode 2 earlier on today where we were on a Char character, a totally different character, but I kind of got halfway through it and thought, it's a bit too quick to go to the Char. So Episode 2 is going to be over here on our lovely Natalie character here who was having a snooze. This is the house we were in last episode in which we spent about half an hour in the tutorial, which was brilliant. Time well spent, yes indeed. But now we're out in the main world and we actually get to go experience what a lot of Guild Wars 2 is, which is running around exploring and just completing heart quests, which are kind of an interesting part of the game. So we basically were told by this priestess of Dwayna in here, we'd been knocked out by this massive earth elemental, and she told us that, hey, everyone helped you out while you were unconscious, which you as the player never really got to experience, but apparently for the past 3 days we had been unconscious and everyone's been helping us, and as recompense, shall we say, we're going to go help other people. So the world is in turmoil, every little place, even though we're in probably some of the most peaceful lands out there at the moment. There's always stuff to do, there's always people to help, there's always stuff going wrong. In fact, the first event I ever really completed was right here in this field here. So basically there's a little kid over here who maybe we can see. Where is the kid? He should be around here. But there's a little kid, maybe he's not here at the moment. That's interesting. I thought he usually would be. But basically he lets out all of these rabbits that are in this pen that then go out and attack all these watermelons. There he is. This little kid here, Andy, this little douchebag. I named all of my rabbits. That's Thunder, the warrior of the group. The big one's Gustav, boss of all the rabbits. I named the straggy one Logan. But for Logan, really? Interesting. But for some reason, Dana got mad at me. And then there's, hey, are you listening? No, not really. I need to go, but I do want you to tell me the rest later. Yeah, so we're just going to form them off. So basically in Guild Wars 2, very basic stuff still, but basically in Guild Wars 2, instead of normal quests where you go to an NPC who's got an exclamation mark above his head and will then tell you to go fetch him a bunch of items in a shopping list, you instead just stuff happens in the world and you can choose to help out or not. And whether you choose to help out or not will actually mean whether the baddies win or the goodies win, essentially. And in that case of the rabbits over there, if you don't help out, all of that farmer's stock is eaten and everything goes horribly wrong for him. Or if you do help, then he just scolds the kid and says, you shouldn't do this, and then like half an hour later the kid will do it again. But yeah, basically our task at the moment is to go help one of these farmers around here, just one of these farmers. As I said in the last episode, up in the top right hand corner, you can always see what you need to do next. And at the moment we need to help residents of Shamore Fields. Shamore, by the way, is the name of this little village here, village of Shamore. It was there in Guild Wars 1. And all these places around here, these are just generally the farms and stuff that I suppose aren't just meant to provide food and stuff for the people of this village, but also of this massive city here called Divinity's Reach, which is very cool, and we'll have a look up there later. It's huge. Before the game came out, I was thinking a lot about doing city tours of that place, and we might end up seeing that in this Let's Play because it's probably one of the best cities. It's not my favourite in Guild Wars 2, but it's one of the best cities I've ever really experienced in a fantasy game, honestly. And that's comparing it to a lot of single-player games too. I absolutely love Divinity's Reach. So we'll go up there eventually. In fact, that's where our story's going to take us to. This here, though, is probably where most players start their adventures, start their journeys. They come over here, they find this woman with this heart who you can speak to, and she'll give you some information. She says, giant worms now, we have harvesting to do. Why can't they make holes in someone else's field? We say bad luck, I guess. So a boss has just spawned, actually. That's pretty cool. So this is an example of an event. This is just a giant boss that spawned in the field because other stuff's been happening in the area, which you can help to fight and kill. As you can see here, this plainsworm queen, which is quite cool, actually. This is a reasonably rare event. I don't see this much, so it's kind of cool for me to be able to enjoy and play on this one. He dies very easily. We got a reward there, silver reward, because we didn't do much damage in comparison to everyone else in the team. But we got a reward for doing that, for killing it. And now that the worm is dead, the farmer can go back to her business. So if we speak to her now, she'll tell us other ways that we can help out in the area. She says, you don't want to be here, trust me, apparently. Well, no, we're here to help. What's up? Well, that's noble of you, she says. I guess you could grab a bucket and water the corn for us, or take some feed to the cattle. Maybe stomp down a few wormholes. Anything you could do to bandit attacks could help too, really, now. Is it dangerous? If a week goes by when those punks don't try and burn my fields, I count myself lucky. Funny thing is, it doesn't have to be a week. It's every 5 minutes someone will attack this place, because it's an early game area, so there's a lot of players around, and they need to keep having events cycle often, which is quite funny. Someone should teach them a lesson. It's not like they're my only headache. I'm worried about harpies will bust the whole dam someday and flood me out. At least that'll put out the fires, I guess. Maybe drown some of those arsonists too. So she's mentioned a dam here. In Guild Wars 1, this area of the world, basically up here and here, were two massive lakes. Collectively, they were called the Giants Basins. There was also this lake here, which remains largely the same, 250 years. This is kind of the greater Giants Basin, or what's left of it, but there used to be another big one here as well. In Guild Wars 2, they've kind of built a massive city where the dams were, where the lakes were, sorry, and it's kind of messed a lot with the geography of the area. And what they've done to do this is there's two giant dams, which we'll have a look at in a minute. There's one here, and there's one over here, and she's kind of worried that the lake is going to come like pouring back into where it used to be or whatever, which is kind of cool. I like that idea that this whole place could be flooded if that dam does break. It's not something I usually think about because this is it feels like such a safe area, but like just water coming in, that sounds pretty cool. Yeah, I thought I smelled apple pie. You probably did. Ida's always baking. Her place is just a smidgen to the west by the orchard. If you've ever tasted her apple pie, you've never lived. Orchard, by the way, not orchard. I'll take your word for it. So this is basically how the game works. You get people who will need help from you, and you can do various stuff in the area, including completing events like killing that giant boss there, that will help you fill this progress meter here that you can see here, this level 2 progress meter, and eventually when you've got it filled up, it will actually unlock, you will have helped out the farmer, and it will have unlocked whoever you're helping out, and they'll actually offer to sell you unique stuff, which is pretty cool. So we've got a brown cow here who we can feed food to, by pressing F, by picking up these bags of feed. And you get the little hearts come up. Something funny about those hearts is, in the early conventions and stuff when people first saw it, this was never a part of the heart quests. These heart quests never used to actually like be progressed in and of themselves. They were just kind of areas that would guide you to where events were. And this was just something you could do in the area for no particular reason. You could just feed the cows and hearts would come off. And it was this really cool thing, I remember. In one of the early betas, everyone was like, oh, look at this is so cool. And everyone quite liked it, but now it actually has a purpose, obviously, because now by feeding these cows, even the same cow, making this cow get really fat, you can continue to get progress. Another thing you can do in the area, if there's nothing to fight, is you can grab the water buckets, as she says. You can actually feed these crops, which will grow, and that's pretty cool. When I first saw this, I thought Guild Wars 2 was... There's a lot of stuff, I can't actually remember the name of... Arcade, I believe, is one of them. There's certain MMOs out there at the moment that kind of are very good for making trees grow, and just loads of plants in the world grow, and the world actually really changes, and like they have proper seasons and stuff. Guild Wars 2 doesn't really have that, but when I first saw people doing this, I thought it was going to be that kind of game. I thought you could literally have a little garden out for yourself and grow all of your own crops and stuff there. And there is certain stuff like that. There's a place in the Char areas that allows you to do that, but really this is the most you get. You kind of just get to interact with parts of the world and grow certain plants that have been burnt down by bandits and stuff. But in any case, once you've helped out a little bit, you get a big mail. You saw that big mail message appeared on the screen. That won't be happening too much, don't worry. But up here in the top left-hand corner, this is the mail system in the game, which allows you to send messages to other players, actual people you know in real life, and you can send messages to them while they're offline and stuff. But also it's used by NPCs to speak to you. A lot of this dialogue, I warn you now, is really generic and fillerish. And I'm going to read it for as long as I care to until I get bored. If you guys are really enjoying me reading it, we will continue with this for the LP, but let me know on this, because honestly, I'm super into the story and the lore, and even these start to bore me. Anyway, so this farmer, she's just sent us a message. She says, I just wanted to take a moment to thank you for your assistance out our wheat fields. Jeb and I, that's her husband, really appreciate your help. It's difficult to keep the food on the table these days, and your efforts will keep many fed and happy. Thank you very much. So, kind of generic, but she'll give you a little bit of money too. We also get some other messages. So because we've just helped someone in the field, just as the priestess of Dwayne said, told us to do, our story's actually progressed here. So Lord Faren, this was the guy that met us while we were unconscious. Met us, can you really say he's met us? But he came to see us while we were unconscious. And he sent us a message too. He says, a noble's work is never done. He says, greetings, old friend. As soon as you can manage to drag your heroic behind out of that sickbed, your presence is requested, nay, demanded, back at your home in Divinity's reach. And if you come without telling that dazzling priestess of Dwayne what a fine fellow I am, I will take it as a personal affront. Until we meet again, I remain your handsomest, most charming, and most humble companion. Humble, yes, my arse. This is Lord Faren. We'll meet him in a bit. Also, I've got a special delivery because I think this isn't from Digital Deluxe. I think this could have been pre-purchasing. But yeah, so I got a Heroes band. That's some equipment you can, as you might guess, put on your character. So it's a ring. Pretty cool. We'll be using that for a while. I'm not sure how much I'm going to dive into, like, adding all the extra stats and getting all my armor and stuff up on this. So you'll have to let me know. Oh yeah, and at the end of the last episode, we got this Warhorn, didn't we? By equipping this, these two skills here on our bar actually will become available to us as well. And range is kind of new for me, so it will be interesting for me to see actually what these skills do. So skill 1 is just throwing our axes. Skill 2 is kind of a bit of a shotgunish kind of thing that bleeds people. Winter's Bite throws an axe, but it also means our pet's attack inflicts weakness. That's kind of cool. Wait, it says it inflicts weakness, but then on the tooltips it says it inflicts chilled.
I didn't see that.
Okay, that's kind of weird. We'll have to see which one that is. Oh yeah, and the pet also. Okay, it's called Mike. Right, we're going to have a few pets, I think, as we go through this. There were too many thumbs on it. At first, I just kind of laughed when someone was like, hey, name it Mike. But yeah, everybody seemed to like that idea. So yeah, this is Mike. Mike will be playing with us for quite a while. I don't know how much I really want to swap around my pets. I know that they lose their names at the moment because of a bug in the game by swapping around. So maybe we won't do it too much. But yeah, this is Mike for now. And also, we've got 2 more abilities, which I haven't unlocked yet, called Hunter's Call and Call of the Wind. Those are both Warhorn abilities, which you can see there. So we'll see what happens as we go forward. Anyway, lastly, also, because we helped her out, she now says, oh, hello there, thanks for all your help. Without you, I don't know what we would have done. So their dialogue changes once you've helped them out. You don't actually get the earlier dialogue any longer once you have helped someone, which is a bit of a shame. So it's going to be in my best interest for this to at least speak to people before we do their hearts. Any rewards? You bet. And she will offer us stuff that we cannot afford. So this is karma, okay? This is what I mentioned in the previous video that you could get for helping those NPCs out. If that was still in the game, I probably would have enough karma. So we got a little bit of karma for killing that worm earlier. This is like gold that you can't trade to other players. So essentially what it means is all of these things that you buy for karma, it means you just can't like buy them through gold. You can't buy them with real world money or anything like that. You literally have to earn it for yourself, which is kind of cool, but it's just like gold really. It's another way of buying things. But she could sell us some accessories, some bread, or a crude salvage kit. Bread, food in this game is pretty cool. It gives you plus 10% extra experience from kills, plus another effect. And that other effect can usually be quite strong. Like it will give you loads more health or loads more healing power and stuff, which is cool. Bread, in this case, gives us plus 20 vitality, which is plus 200 health, which is pretty nice, especially considering we only have 300 health at this point. So I think that's plus 200 health. I'm pretty sure it is. We'll have to have a look. Maybe it's not. But yeah, so it's pretty cool. We can't buy anything. We can't afford it, though, at the moment. So yeah, there's lots of these farms and stuff out here. You guys will have to let me know whether you want to see all of these different farms and all of the different helpers and stuff as we go forward. My main priority, though, is going to be the personal story. But the way that this game's structured, if you don't know, is that as you go through the personal story, it will be like each step of the personal story requires you to be a certain level. And as you progress through it, that level goes higher and higher. And the pace that that level goes up is actually faster than your level just through completing the story on your own. So the idea is you do a bit of personal story, you leave, you level up for a bit, you complete a bit more of the personal story, you leave, you level up for a bit, and so on and so on. So this next step of the personal story, I believe that says level 3. I can't quite see because of the fraps counter there. And at the moment we're only level 2, so we'll be able to complete it because there's only one level above us. But there will be a point where I have to go leave and do other stuff, and maybe at those points I can kind of put the cameras back on and say, hey, okay, we're going to go and do some stuff around in the fields of Shamore, and then so on, which should be quite fun. I love how different Shamore looks now as it did in Guild Wars 1. For anyone that does know Guild Wars 1 quite well, the core structure of the universe is still there. So there is a place called Beetleton as well that you might be familiar with from Kryta in Guild Wars 1, and that is also still here, and a lot of it is still there, and we'll be able to go back to a lot of those old places. One place, actually, you go to Shamore in Guild Wars 1 during a mission where you're finding some people called the Chosen, and these are just Krytans that have got like magical aptitude, if you will, and you go on a bit of an adventure trying to find them. And you go from a town called Shamore to another town called Dimitra, another village off on the side near one of the coasts of one of the Giants Basins. But you can't actually go there in Guild Wars 2. You can't go that far west, which is kind of interesting. So you get to see Shamore, but not Dimitra, which is... So in Guild Wars 1, like one mission was from the location here of Shamore all the way around to around about here, I'd say. And that's Dimitra there, but you can't actually get that far over in Guild Wars 2, which is a bit of a shame, but yeah. Anyway, this is Divinity's Reach. Might not look like too much right now, but already, actually, I'd say, just from this shot here, even if this was the entirety of the town, it already looks pretty big, considering what a lot of towns in RPGs and stuff can be like. But we can have a look over. It's actually divided into 6 sections, right? And that's just one section over there. And it just goes around in a massive circle. So here we're looking at the Eastern Commons. These are, I believe this is the Canthan area, or maybe that's the Western Commons. Actually, I think this is just kind of a housing area, the Eastern Commons. Then we have another place here called Rurikton, which is where a lot of humans from an old nation of Ascalon used to live that's now fallen to the Char. This is where we live, the Salma district. another place with loads of houses. The Ossen Quarter, this is another housing district full of people from a land far to the south called Elona. And finally we've got the Great Collapse here as well. This used to be an entertainment district, but has now like totally been destroyed, which we'll have a look at. And that actually seems to be a cool place as far as expansions are concerned. One thing about a lot of these big, everywhere really in Guild Wars 2, that is a bit of a shame, it's kind of cool in some regards and it's kind of a shame in other regards, is that as you wander around, most of these NPCs we see here do have dialogue, they have stuff to say, and particularly when you go to, like, say, the Ossen Quarter. While you're wandering around, you'll hear all the people there talking about their homeland, which is a place you can't actually get to in-game yet, and that's really fascinating and interesting to listen to all their conversations. But you could just be stood there for half an hour next to NPCs, just like literally these guys here. Like this kid's attacking. Actually, this kid's pretty cool with his wooden sword. But we could be stood here for ages before these NPCs actually have anything to say, which is kind of a bit of a shame. That guy's ripped, which is kind of a bit of a shame. So I will try to show you guys as much of those little stories and stuff as I possibly can, but we might have to see how it goes. This is why I'd quite like to do a city tour at some point, just to have a good run around and a good look and a good talk to all of the decent NPCs. But anyway, at the moment we're kind of circling around. You can see on your mini map here you've got these green arrows. They'll guide you to where your next personal story step is most of the time. As you can see, I'm going the wrong way because we're supposed to be up here and I'm in the opposite corner essentially of the city. But it doesn't hurt to have a bit of a run around. There's not just the ground floor here as well. That big place up there, that big ceiling, you can actually get on top of that ceiling. These are called the high roads. So each of the sections of the city are divided by these things, these high roads. There are 6 high roads and there are also 6 gods. So each high road is for a specific god that the humans believe in. So at the moment we are on, I wish I could tell you actually without, we're on the Melandru high road. So right now we're on the high road of the god actually that we chose when we created this character, which is pretty cool. And indeed at the end of each high road, as we run down there, we can see that you have a big statue there, and you can even speak to like a priest or whatever for that god and talk about that god, and even get a bit of a boon that will speed you up, which is quite nice, something to bear in mind when you're in a lot of these cities. So this is the priest of Melandru. He says, Melandru is the goddess of nature and earth. Hers are the branches that shade and shelter weary travellers. Her blessing will grant you speed on your journey. Which is exactly what we need. Melandru respects those who walk a path of balance, to live within nature and not apart, to understand destruction and protection, and to know there is a time for each. Do you follow her teachers? And once again, we get to choose how we respond to this. We're going dignity, so my words are an early spring morning, stirring others to life and action. Here's one thing I would say. I don't actually play where I just like, oh, I'm definitely a dignity character, I'm always going to pick that response. A lot of the time I read all of them and just decide which sounds more like me. The wild isn't my beck and call and aids me in my course, but this time I'll probably go with that anyway. So, like a sapling and taking root, Melandru favours those who foster new beginnings. So there we go. And now we've got a blessing of Melandru that allows us to get around the city a little bit quicker. The statues themselves, there's a really interesting story about this. There was a character in the game that we never actually met until Guild Wars 2 came out, and we'll get more into it later. But there's this guy that a long time ago was one of the only humans to have ever been able to look at the gods with his own eyes. So the gods are real things. They're not just things that the humans believe in, but they really did live on this planet, and they brought the humans to this planet, and they did a lot to shape the planet. They're real entities that a long time ago left the planet to do something else, basically. And in Guild Wars 2, and for a very long time they'd left the planet, but they were just kind of watching on from a distance and helping the humans wherein as they could. But at the end of Guild Wars 1, essentially at the end of Nightfall, one of the campaigns of Guild Wars 1, you basically see that the gods leave altogether. So we've had very little contact with them for over the past 250 years, and a lot of humans actually are beginning to lose faith. And I don't know really what I want my character to be. I don't think they should really be losing that much faith. But the gods have been very distant for a long time ago. But many years ago, like over 1,000 years ago, there was a character, a human, that got to actually look upon them with his own eyes. And he was tasked with creating statues of each and every one of them. So whenever we see statues of the gods in this game, we just know that it came from this guy. And his story is further expanded later in Guild Wars 2. So that should be cool. And all of them come with inscriptions too that were written by this man. This guy was called Malkor, okay? And for Melandru, he says, in the presence of Melandru, I felt my weariness wash away, as if rejuvenated by the sweet embrace of spring. Wherever she walked, the sun shone, and I felt the beauty of life. So that's what he had to say about her. And basically by doing a big tour of Divinity's Reach, you can go to each high road and learn at least a tiny bit about each god in turn, which is quite good. The only god that wasn't written about by Malcor is this god here, Cormyr. This god was an actual character in Guild Wars 1 that you saw rise to godhood in the story there. So Malcor never knew her because that was many years later, which is very interesting. Eventually we'll get to her statue and learn a little bit about her too. But yeah, so that's basically a very brief crash course on the human gods. There's some of the most fascinating bits about the Guild Wars universe, so bear that in mind. There's not too much about them in the personal story though, and particularly when we play other races, we might not really hear that much about them, to tell you the truth. Anyway, this is kind of the centre of the city. A beautiful, awesome garden. When the game was first coming out, and they were doing demos and stuff and showing it off at conventions, all the devs ran here to show everyone what they had created here, to try and show off their art style. You can kind of see the universe there with all of the planets and globes and a big stylized moon there, which I quite like. We don't actually know what each of these planets are. We just know that they're kind of planets, I guess, interior solar system. And that's the sun up there on the glass ceiling at the top. One annoying thing about this game, can't zoom all the way in, so if my character's always obscuring the screen, then that's why. I have tried to make my characters quite small so that not too much of the camera is messed up by them. Anyway, so yeah, that's very brief. Divinity's Reach. The palace isn't near here. There's all kinds of stuff near here. But instead of boring you all with running around, let's actually continue our story. Let's go find Lord Faren. Let's go home. Let's go to what they call our home instance, which is basically an area that was developed. The idea was, as you continue your personal story, you're going to make decisions that, like, you can get characters killed and you can decide who lives and who dies, and there's actual consequences that come out of that. The main problem though is all of these decisions you make are reflected in your home instance because it's a personal place to you, but you rarely have to come back here. So this is our home and we'll come here for now, but don't expect to be here too much in the game. There's a soldier here who says, "Welcome back to the Salma district, hero of Shamore. Everyone's been talking about your adventures. Go on inside." So everybody knows me, everybody likes me, and the woman says the same thing. So we'll go in, we'll hit a loading screen, and this is really our first quest outside of the tutorial. It's quite a short one, so don't worry too much. Actually, it might not be too short. This video might be longer than I thought it was going to be. Anyway, so yeah, this is kind of our home, and don't mistake me, it doesn't just mean we get a single house. This entire place is our own personal district, and whenever stuff happens in the personal story, new characters will appear here, and things will change. People will... The idea, I think, originally was that people would offer different services and stuff to you depending on your choices, but they don't necessarily. Now, do you remember last episode we chose what god we followed? And I said Melandru, and I also said that it didn't really have much impact on the game at all, which you choose. Well, what it does is apparently there's some priestesses or priests that will appear here later, NPCs, and they'll be priests to a specific god, and that god is whichever one you choose, and that's it. Literally, they don't offer anything different. So I'll try and keep my eye out because I've never noticed them until I looked at that on the wiki, which is quite funny. Oh, here's Lord Faren. Hey man, how's it going? I love this guy, by the way. He's a bit of a pompous prat, okay, so you have to get used to him, but he'll come over to you. Don't worry about it. In a good way.
The hero of Shamore returns. Come and see how friends and neighbors alike have turned out to welcome you home.
A party, Faren? For me? Or is this just an excuse to get your friends together and see what's in my wine cupboard?
Nonsense! Heroes are always popular. These nice people simply insisted on congratulating you and celebrating your brave victory.
And you insisted on breaking out my finest food and drink for the occasion.
Thanks. Cheers for that.
You deserve no less. Still,
sure.
I can't take all the credit. Your household staff was most helpful, even eager to facilitate the process. I wish my servants loved me half as much. But then, I am lovable in other ways.
And the less said about that, the better. Now, wipe off that smirk and let's go enjoy my best roast duck and brandy.
I almost feel like you can't really do this storyline with a male character because it just doesn't work so well. Well, unless we suggest that he's gay, but it's quite funny. I feel like this works best, at least as a girl for a human, if you're going to go with a noble storyline. Just because this guy will spend most of his time flirting around you, which is quite funny. Anyway, yeah, he set up this party for us. Thanks very much, mate. Apparently I got loads of money though, so it shouldn't matter. There's this really cool thing here, okay, where this guy will perform a magic show, and I'm not going to talk through it, but it's pretty cool, so yeah, let's see what he has to say. Yeah, amaze me, let's see what happens. The guest of honor's here, do you want to Do I have to speak to you to start off? Oh, I do. Okay, so he says, Faren instructed me that I hold my stupendous feats of wonder until you'd arrived. By the way, does anyone ever really throw a party in someone's honour and then it's like so underway before you even get there? I'd feel a bit insulted by that if like the party had been going on for ages and I've only just turned up and everyone's turning in for the night. Anyway, yes, by all means, start the show. Let's see what you got. Sit, Mike.
Gather around, but not too close. Dangerous. And now, prepare to be stunned. Get out of your shoes.
All right.
Behold! Fire from my hands.
Oh, wow!
Oh,
Is there a slash clap?
ladies and gentlemen, that one got away from me. Still, as far as tricks go, that one was well done. Thank you.
That was a terrible
For
joke.
this next trick, I shall dazzle your eyes. Can I offer you something to drink?
This is cool. This effect on him. This effect on him. Later on in the game, you can actually buy stuff to make you look like that too.
A single dove, but I shall summon an entire flock out of thin air.
And this one will be funny because what he's about to do.
My eyes, let me shoot them.
Because we actually get an ability that lets us do that as well, which will be fun.
Your illusions. That's the life of a master magician, folks. Sometimes I even amaze myself. Now, prepare to witness a feat no other magician has ever performed and lived. Watch carefully. I can only do this once.
I'm watching.
Behold! Alakazam! Alakazoo! Alakazam? It's definitely Alakasomething. Alakaboom?
Hey, and he's gone. And also, I've just realised, probably be a good idea to put up the dialogue volume. There we go. Because then we'll actually be able to hear people. So yeah, a lot of that stuff that you did there, you actually do get to do in various ways in the game, which is quite cool. What I quite like about this party though is if you listen, the music in the background, you never actually really hear this anywhere else in the game, which is a bit of a shame because all the rest of the music
hero of
is a bit monotonous.
Shamore. Come, tell
Mike!
us a thrilling tale of your exploits.
What are you doing? Get off the table! No,
That's the
you're in
hero
the
of
bread.
Shamore. Come have a drink.
Okay, so we get a bunch of people we can speak to. This is this guy here called Baron Carone. All these characters here, actually, depending on your choices, will have more prominent or less prominent roles in the story. So it's a good idea to get yourself acquainted with them instead of just rushing off ahead to Faren and continuing on. You really do get the choice a lot. What I mentioned when we first started this is it's easy to miss stuff in the personal story if you just go ahead. It was the same in Guild Wars 1, it's the same here. Really, a lot of the enjoyment comes out of taking your time with it and speaking to a lot of the people, because you will see connections and characters popping up that maybe you'd otherwise miss. This game does suffer a little bit later on with people like, oh, who was that? Oh, they're dead now. Oh, I didn't know who that was. Well, you'd probably know them a little bit better if you do take the time to speak to them. So, first of all, here's Baron Carone, who says, the hero of Shamore, we heard about the Centaur attack. Would you tell us more about it? Yeah, it was bad, but we pulled together and made it through. Faren said you fought by Thackeray's side. Is it true? Yeah, we did actually. He commanded the defense of the garrison. Together we drove back the centaurs. Well, here's a toast to you. It'd be my honor to fight by your side someday. Should that time come, I'd be honored to stand by you. Yeah, well, maybe that time will come. Who else we got? We got Baron Edmonds.
Rich, you know.
Who's rich, you know.
Melissa aid you.
And he has nothing else to say to us.
Rich.
I didn't recognise that name actually. That's why I don't think he's got any role to play in this story at all. We got Noble there. We got Baroness Jasmina here.
I have so much to do.
What a lovely party! Regretfully, I can't stay long. Lord Faren's constant demands for my attention have worn me out. Oh, what a shame. Thank you for coming. Alright, so she's leaving. She's got some kind of a problem, which we will hear more about. The servant there, no, don't worry. This woman here, Lady Madeline, so refreshing to be out and festive. Between the centaur trouble, mother's failing health, and other matters, I do nothing but worry. Now that we've lightened the mood, I must be off. Yeah, these people are just a bit depressing. Lord Benjamin here. Magic and music are fine, but where's the real entertainment? The dogfights, the bear baiting, the martial victory demands blood sports. Not in my home, and if you want to say... See, this is a bit of a shame, because I know I'm supposed to be playing a noble, but I would quite like to see that here at this party. Come on, Faren. I thought you knew me. So yeah, he likes that. These are a bit of an odd bunch. I think these all know each other and we'll get more acquainted later. Lady Mashu over here.
I didn't
Dwayne a
see
bliss, Catherine Thackeray, for saving you. You look fit and well. Thank you, my lady. Your concern is most touching. I wasn't the only one concerned. You have many friends who think highly of you. My mother may have prayed for you. Give your mother my best and enjoy the
Would you
party.
care for
So
refreshments?
we're hearing about some sick mother there. Bear that in mind. Someone's mother's sick.
I'm not sure about
You must be a hardy individual to be walking around already. The battle at Shamore was horrendous. I appreciate your concern. This reminds me a lot of Oblivion and being the hero of Kvatch. It really does. But just a lot earlier in the story. I think that's about everyone. We got one more person, Baroness Yolanda, who says, here she is, our heroine. You know better than to follow that rascal Faren around. He's trouble. Now tell me about that meeting, Logan Thackeray. The rampaging centaurs attacking the garrison kept our conversation short, or I'm more worried about the centaurs than anything Lord Faren could do. Now, when I first started playing this, I was like, shit, what do I want to say? Because I didn't think I'd have the opportunity to go back and say the other thing. 9 times out of 10 in this game, you do get the opportunity to go back. So let's just go with the top one first. Did he smile at you? Was he charming? Ooh, did he say anything about Queen Jenna? So apparently everyone likes Logan Thackeray, and we were fighting alongside him. So you're a hopeless gossip. You know that, right? Yes, still, dear. It's good to see you're doing so well. These parties would be a bore without you. I've not really done much. I'm more worried about the centaur. Still, dear, it's good to see you doing so. Oh, see, and then she repeats the dialogue again. So yeah, there you go. That's pretty much us mingling the party. That's the extent of it. We could, I guess, / dance if we really wanted. Actually, what is the human? See, the Yasura do the robot, and that's what I've been playing with most. I think it's such a shame that we only get like male and female dancers aren't split in this game. It's a bit of a shame. Anyway, so here's Faren.
I'm rich, you know.
Done enjoying the festivities, old friend? Yes, I think I'm done. I'm outgrowing the party myself. I'll tell the servants we're leaving. Sounds good. Okay. So, yeah, Faren doesn't really like the party, and we're already gone. I mean, he kind of organised it, which is a bit of a shame. And we get some shady characters here, called bandits, just straight up. No lie about that.
Gods help us.
Now, here's a bit of a weird thing. If you read in the bottom there, it says Faren's screaming, and he's saying, oh, help us, please, get your hands off of me. But the actual dialogue doesn't reflect that. Really weird. That happens sometimes in the personal story. Easy to miss. Faren's been kidnapped. You don't get to see it on screen, and it's a little bit confusing, honestly. But yeah, that happened. Now everyone's gone in the party. This is just example number 1 of why I think. You know, the idea of him being kidnapped, you meet your friend, and now he's been kidnapped, and now obviously you're going to go off and save him. It's an okay story. It's not, but just the way they do it, it's like, whoa, what's going on? And these guys really hurt, actually. I think I need to level up at least once more before I at least do the next personal story thing. Actually, let's have a look here. So I use skill 3. Yeah, it's chilling them, and yet the description says it's inflicting weakness. That's a bit weird. The game is still quite early. It'll be quite interesting. I think one of my favourite things about doing this is going back in like a year or 2 and seeing how much stuff's changed, because looking at Guild Wars 1 stuff and how that changed a long time ago is just going to be really weird. Another thing about about Guild Wars 2 is a revive system here. You can revive anyone you want, and that includes NPCs and other players. You don't need a specific skill. Oi, 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 don't shoot me. I'm trying to help people. God. I quite like having a pet. Everybody seems to attack it instead of me.
Go after Faren.
Alright, sure, I'll go after Faren.
I heard Faren shouting. Where is he?
I saw those ruffians dragging him down the street. They're going to kill him.
Calm down. See to the other guests and make sure no one else has been harmed. I'll go after Lord Faren.
She says I'll go there, very similar to how she says I'll go in the inn at the start of the game. That's kind of weird.
Someone get the Seraph.
Yeah, so people are getting the Seraph, right? The Seraph are what Logan Thackeray is a member of. They're like the police, and they're like the guards, and they're like the main military arm or force of Kryta. So Kryta is the nation that we're in, and the Seraph, they are like your generic policing guard people. Whenever you see guards, they're probably a member of the Seraph. In Guild Wars 1, you kind of find out how they were formed, and they've just been the main force out in Kryta ever since then, ever since the monarchy to this nation was restored, which is quite good. So get used to them. They're pretty much just the good guys. There is another band of guards and people that are there to help and protect the world, the nation at least, sorry, of Kryta, who are called the Ministry Guard, and they're more, they're a smaller force of people that are simply, Mike, why aren't you attacking? Oh, it's because he's dead, okay. So that's another thing I've got to get used to. The fact that my pets can die and I need to raise them up. You're right. Oh, I see. So out of combat, I think this is his health bar down here. If you can see, it's very small. And I think out of combat, he's just going to regen up. Yes, he is. Okay, cool. So yeah, there are these other people called the Ministry Guard, but they're a smaller force, and they're like hired by nobles to protect them in general, and they just kind of They go where the money is, which typically means that they're a more elite force of people, if you will, that would help the people with more money, the nobility. Since we are a noble, and we're going to be doing a lot of noble storyline stuff, expect to see a fair bit about the Ministry Guard, and also how the Ministry Guard and the Seraph clash. They're all there to protect the people of Kryta, but there can be a lot of interesting situations where they're not entirely sure whose jurisdiction lies where, which can be quite cool. So anyway, we're running through our city here. I don't know whether we'll see any Ministry Guard coming up. Can we speak to you guys? Like, legit?
Friendly.
Oh, I am friendly. You wouldn't believe how friendly I am. No, I don't think they have anything to say. Where is Faren? Where's Mike as well? Mike, are you on the floor over there? Oh, he's attacking more bandits. I just love how there's so many bandits around here that nobody's really reacting to. All these guys are just stood about. Maybe this is just a shady area. You do at least come into this hallway here. This skill 4 here, by the way, can you see I'm summoning birds? That's on my warhorn, which is quite cool. Still getting used, really, I suppose, on what my skills do. At the moment, it just feels like spam, 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 spam. You get more skills than this. As you level up, these other skills on the right-hand side of your bar will unlock. And also, you can unlock the ability to wield another weapon set in your offhand, which you can swap in and out of during combat, that changes the left 5 skills. You get that about level 7, I think. So that should be interesting to see as well. Oh, there we go. Okay, this is where Faren's been held. Very inconspicuous in this door. I'm not sure how we're supposed to know that he's in here, but hey, I'll take it. Whatever. Summon birds to eat this person's face, which has got a really gruesome sound effect on it, by the way. Very gruesome, which is quite funny. And there's now a Widowmaker thud. Widowmaker. It's such a common word to use, but it's actually so depressing. I am a Widowmaker. Brilliant. Thank you very much. You're making someone lonely for the rest of their lives. Okay, so we're in someone's kitchen. This is... It's worn thin on me now, but this is... Oh, I love this little balcony as well. This is cool. But this is one of my favourite things about this game. Like, the first game, you just never went indoors, ever. There were some places where you went in, massive cathedrals and stuff that never felt like they were indoors at all. They were just huge rooms with very high ceilings. But actually, in this game, you legitimately can go into all manner of small, proper houses and things. And I love the idea of... And I've not done it yet, really, in-game, but I love the idea of going into some of these places out in the open world and just sitting or laying in a bed or something, like we were at the start of this video, and just waiting for another player to come along when they eventually do, because that would just be so cool to see people. Anyway, here's Faren. You're right there. He's been chained down magically. And you might think, well, we could just get him and leave. You've actually got to keep going upstairs. So, oh wait, no, do you? I thought there was a guy upstairs. Is there anything on that table? Just a knife. Interesting. There's someone to kill down here, I'm sure. Or do we just greet him? No, we don't. There's someone to kill. Hello? Is anybody home? Find and rescue Faren. Oh, what about you? Have you just respawned, or am I meant to kill you? Interesting. I love how many conditions I'm getting on people. That's actually really cool. I am getting weakness from somewhere. I'm not sure where, though. Bleeding from that. Chilled from that. Hunter's Call from that. Oh, maybe... Oh, I think Mike just inflicts bleeding as well as other stuff. That's cool. I think he's inflicting weakness on his own. We can actually have a look at that next episode, I think. I'll take you guys through the pet management system and stuff. This guy, I think, is supposed to be upstairs where Faren is, but he's down here. This is Swindlehand Sal. All the bandits have got really cool names in this game. It's quite funny. We're just going to eat him, because he's not going to be able to kill Mike in enough time. This is quite easy. I don't really have to do anything, because the pet just takes all the aggro. Never. There we go. Right, I guess he was the one that had Faren pinned down. Shall we save you now, you pompous old fool? There you go.
Thank you. I'm feeling much better now.
I'm sure you are, Faren. I missed you, Faren.
Am I pleased to see you? Though if you wanted me to leave the party, a simple "begone, freeloader" would have sufficed.
I love how angry you sound.
I'll make a note of that. Any idea who these hooligans were, or what they wanted?
Not really. I did hear them discussing a farmhouse in Shamore. They were going to lock me up there with the rest of their hostages.
Then I have more work to do. I can't save you and leave the others to rot. Bad form, you know.
Count me in. I may not be a centaur-killing berserker like you, but I can take care of myself. I'll meet you there.
That almost sounds insulting. A centaur-killing berserker. Thanks, mate. Cheers. Alright, so we get another choice here. We get basically a different choice of armor here, and always a salvage kit. So it depends on what you want. Do you want more health? Do you want more a higher chance to critical people, or do you just want more straight up power? I don't know what I want. Let's just go with power, shall we? And we can equip these gloves, which you don't actually start the game with, which is very nice, so we can equip those there. We've also got those extra boots that we can equip, and also some other weapons we can try out too. We've got another axe there, so we could dual wield axes at some point, and we have a sword that we can try as well. So that is the first mini mission, I suppose. This is kind of what I like to call them for Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 1 was lots of very big, long missions. This game tends to be a lot of small, little ones. And I'm not sure how much I like that, but once you've completed them, you're basically told that you can just leave the instance either by walking through the gate, which is what I'm going to do, but also you get this glowing button here which will automatically teleport you out where you first got in. And generally that's how the personal stories are structured. A lot of these episodes of the LP I think will be going through the personal story stuff, and in particular speaking to a lot of the NPCs as we go in them, but also I'm going to be littering in there a lot of the more interesting lore stuff that you can find out in the overworld as well, in the normal world with all the events and the hearts and stuff, particularly ones that are relevant to the story as we continue it, that could be easily missed. So yeah, a bit of a long episode here, I know. As we go forward though, they will get a bit shorter, don't worry. It's not all going to be half an hour and 40-minute episodes of the LP. I promise you it will be like 15-minute probably to 20-minute as it was with Guild Wars 1. But anyway, there you go guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you at least rallying a little bit behind the human noble stuff. And I will see you next time for meeting Faren at the farmhouse and continuing on, or maybe even leveling up, or maybe even seeing the other side of the coin and seeing the Char, the people that the humans were at war with for a very, very long time. In any case, have a good evening guys, and I'll see you next time.